Tuesday. Not Fat Tuesday yet, that's next week. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Shreveport. Please silence your cell phones. I know you don't want it going off in the middle of great singing that's going to happen here in a few minutes. And I have another quote by Stephen Wright. There's pages and pages and pages of those things on the internet. This one is, to steal ideas from one person is plagiarism. To steal from many is research. Tom Marcineau is going to lead us in song.
Well, I'm glad it's not Fat Tuesday. But y'all sing America the Beautiful with me and my friend Al, Al Capella. All right? Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Tom. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Miles Hitchcock has our words of inspiration, prayer, invocation, whatever you choose to call it.
I don't like reading to you, but this is too good to pass up. Everyone needs a cheerleader. Everyone needs someone that believes in them. My cheerleaders were Dr. Betty Spears, Dr. Albert Bicknell, and a guy none of you know, Mr. Dommy Lawless. Our Rotary tradition is that of cheering for other people and giving people hope who live without us. Hear these words. When I'm helping someone else with dark moments in life, I feel that same external power is present when facing my own personal strife. How much joy invades our thinking when we help to push someone ahead and catch a vision of a new life rising from the dead. So fill our brains, Lord, fill them up, just like you fill our cups, and make us a cheerleader who picks others up. October 2011, from a book, The Passing of the Old and the New, a ministry of verse and vision for your pleasure by Reverend William E. Wishy Nolan. And I wish he were here so we could recognize him. Thank you.
Thank you. Laurie Boswell will introduce our guests.
I have several of Wishy's books, and I encourage all of you to check in with him and get some. Well, today we're happy to have Casey Kilpatrick here, and she has two guests.
Hi, I'm Casey Kilpatrick. This is Karen Hartner, who is my friend and strategist for Geaux Bags, and Kyle Baird, who is with Humana, and he's my boyfriend.
Welcome to both of you.
And Deborah Boucher has our birthdays for us.
Oh, the thing about birthdays, it brings to mind that we're just all getting older. I had some friends over for the Super Bowl and just had some trouble remembering some things. We'd known each other a long time. A couple of them were sitting around right before the game, and they were talking about this restaurant they had eaten at in town, and they were talking about how good it was. And I said, well, this sounds great. I love a new restaurant. What's the name of it? And they just went back and forth. They couldn't remember. And finally, one of the guys looked at the other one. He said, what's that flower you give somebody you love that's red and has the thorns on it? And he said, Rose? He goes, yeah, that's right, Rose. And he called his wife, Rose, what was the name of that restaurant we went to the other? Thank you. Happy birthday to those of you celebrating your birthdays in February, starting on the 1st with Stephen Oden, on the 2nd, Brad Gosley and Jeff Clark, Hardy Foreman on the 4th, Janet Boyette on the 5th, Trey Giglio on the 6th. The 7th belongs to Scott Hughes. February 9th, John Cox and Bo Campbell, Bill Anderson and West Attaway on the 10th, Billy Washburn on the 11th. The 13th is shared by Mark Medicus and Tom Nee. John Lowe is our Valentine's Day baby. We love to say that every year. Doug Bland on the 20th, Mark Snow on the 24th, Paul Pratt on the 26th, Rodney Cruz on the 27th, and rounding out the month of February for Rotary birthdays on the 28th, Mike Sievers. And now, with Tom's friend Al, we will serenade you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. And remember, February 14th is Valentine's Day. Don't forget. Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you, Derek.
Our Rotary Foundation Chair is Lawrence Calhoun, and he has some information to share with us about the Rotary Foundation.
This past year, we had a higher than usual number of people become Paul Harris Fellows and major donors. And it seemed like when I joined in 2001, a Paul Harris presentation took place every couple of months. It seems like it takes place every 2 or 3 weeks now. And that's a pretty cool thing for our club to have that many people contribute. I received this short video I wanted to share. If you've given and received your Paul Harris Fellow in the last several months, you may have already seen this, but I got it. It's 40 seconds, and I thought it was very fitting for the number of people that have contributed here in the past 6 months. Becoming a Paul Harris Fellow is the most common way to do it. You see a lot of blue badges here. You pay $1,000 either in money or points, or you're gifted a Paul Harris Fellow. There are other ways to do it, and Terry asked me to talk about one. Now, this particular way is not everybody's cup of tea. It's not very well known, but it is a way to do it, and that's the bequest method. Doing good in the world is the motto of the Rotary Foundation, and the bequest method was established to recognize our support for the permanent fund of the Rotary Foundation through bequest, which is simply a gift at death. This is for Rotarians and family members who commit to $10,000 or more of their estate plans to the permanent fund of the Rotary Foundation. Since 1928, this fund has grown to over $200 million and produces $4.5 million in interest each year. As a bequest member, you will receive a Bequest Society crystal recognizing your commitment, a Bequest Society circle pin with diamonds representing your bequest level, and it gives you the ability to honor your family, a friend, or a relative by establishing a named fund within the permanent fund. You also get an invitation to the Rotary Foundation annual dinner and a private reception hosted by the district governor at the annual district conference. You can become a member of the Bequest Society by applying for a membership card, then send a copy of your will, trust, life insurance policy to the Rotary Foundation by June 30th of the current year. And if anybody wants any of that information, if that's something that appeals to you, you can actually contribute, be recognized for it, and not have any money come out of your pocket yet. Lastly, we have, Terry has access to it, I do, Judy does. we have access to the club recognition summary, and it's a list of everybody in the club that has contributed anything toward becoming a Paul Harris Fellow. And you may be close to the next level, or you may be close to becoming a Paul Harris Fellow and just don't realize it. So you may be getting an email from me over the next couple of months saying, hey, you know, for $100 more you can level up to 2, or for $100 more you can become a Paul Harris Fellow. If you want to know how close you are, see me, see Terry, see Judy. I happen to have the information with me today, but you can always email or call Judy, and we'll look it up and let you know how close you are. I would love in the next year to have everybody in here wearing a blue ribbon. That would be awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. And what a perfect way to lead into giving 2 people recognition they deserve for being Paul Harris Fellows. The first one is Laura Hargis. I'm going to say the fun stuff first. I love getting to know. I get to read these bios and learn things about people I had no idea. She enjoys cooking and traveling and photography. We need to compare cooking notes. I love to cook too. Awesome. She's a native Texan. She graduated from the Southwest Texas State University with a BS in advertising and began her career as a sales assistant and worked her way up to general sales manager. She's lived in Chicago, New Orleans, Milwaukee. They were busy recently. Albuquerque, Denver, and before moving here in 2017, she lived and worked in Lafayette. She spent 30 years in the media sales area and is general sales manager for KSLA News 12. She was a member of the Rotary Club of Lafayette for 3 years before she relocated to Shreveport. We're lucky to have her, and we're lucky that she became a Paul Harris Fellow while here. Here is your Paul Harris pin. And the certificate, and also this little flag you attach to your badge. Let me pull this back. And next, getting his Paul Harris +2 is Rich Brontoli. So that means he's contributed to Paul Harris levels 3 times. And the fun stuff on him, I didn't know about this. He and his wife Sylvia are square dancers and round dancers at a local dance club, and Rich serves on their board for the dance hall building. He's also a backyard birder. My husband will enjoy talking to you about that. He was born in New York City, and his dad worked for oil companies, so he grew up in Indonesia, Somalia, and upstate New York. He has a BS in civil engineering from, it looks like Worcester to me, but it's called Worcester. The Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Massachusetts, and a master's degree from the University of Florida. He served in the U.S. Army for 20 years as an engineer officer stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado. He was also stationed in Germany, Fort Knox, Kentucky, and El Salvador. He retired as deputy commander at St. Louis Corps of Engineer District. He retired in '93 and moved to Shreveport to assume his current job, which is the executive director of the Red River Valley Association. And he's been married to his square dance partner, Sylvia, for 30 years, who is also an Army nurse. They have 2 children, a son and a daughter, no grandchildren yet, but they're hoping. And he joined Rotary in '94. He was a director in 2011-12. He's been on numerous committees. He's currently the vice president of our club, so he'll be president in a couple of years. And he received our club's Service Above Self Award in 2014 and 15. Rich, thank you for your contributions to Rotary. Thank you very much. Those are so fun to do. 2 quick announcements. Next week, we're not going to be meeting in here. We're going to be down in the next alcove. So don't come to the girls' bathroom, go to the boys' bathroom. That's the way to do it. That's how to find it. And we're having our club board meeting right after this meeting next door, starting at 1:05. So if you're on the board and you don't know that you have a meeting, you've just been informed. And Emily Mott is going to introduce our speaker for us.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce Casey Kilpatrick. who is here to talk about Geaux Bags, a nonprofit organization that she founded after she saw a need for children to have a bag of essentials and comfort items to make their first night in foster care a bit easier. This organization received $4,000 civic grant from our club during the 2016-2017 grant cycle. In December of 2017, Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards invited Geaux Bags to be the service project for the Democratic National Convention Holiday Exchange, in which 12 governors and 400 delegates participated. In addition to her nonprofit work, Casey is a community outreach director for Shoulders of Strength. After graduation from Captain Shreve High School, she earned her bachelor and master's from LSUS in Human Service Administration. She is a nonprofit professional and pending certified fundraising executive with 16 years of resource development and fundraising experience. She has also logged in 20 years of volunteer service. For 3 years, she has worked as an adjunct professor, college professor, teaching master level classes on the most effective methods for solicitation of gifts. Casey is not only a compassionate human being, but as you've heard, she is also very well qualified. Please help us welcome Casey Kilpatrick.
Thank you, Emily. I just realized I forgot to send in my bio, and that's what you get when you let other people do that. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks, Rob. So we're going to talk about Geaux Bags and why I started Geaux Bags. As Emily said, I grew up here, born and raised. I went to AC Steer. This is important because everybody likes to know where you are and where people are from. So AC Steer, Riverside, St. Joseph's, Captain Shreve. My dad is Robert Kilpatrick. My mom is Darlis. This is always a pending question when you have a last name Kilpatrick. How are you related to Virginia? Let me go ahead and answer that for you. She is my grandfather's cousin, and what she told me is if I claim you, you better claim me. And she's claimed me ever since. So just to qualify a little bit of that. But I always wanted children. I'm a fast talker, and I drank some tea, so I'm not at me if I talk too fast. I always wanted children. Always. And eventually, my body wouldn't let me have children. And because of the type of work that I've done, and worked as a missionary and worked at Providence House and the Salvation Army, I knew and thought I knew poverty. And I knew about children that were in foster care, or I thought I knew what that was like. And I knew that there were kids that needed me like I needed them. And so I set on that journey, and I got certified and qualified to be a foster to adopt parent. Rob is also a foster adopt parent, so sometimes I'm going to look at him so I make sure I'm not sounding dramatic about what a joy that is. But it's really tough. I'm not going to lie to you. It's really tough. The way that the state's involved and everything else, it's a very tough situation. But the fact of the matter is the pain of not having children was worse than the pain that I went through with the state. And that if I'm an adult and I find it difficult, I can only imagine what my 1- and 2-year-old found. So, with that said, back to why I started Geaux Bags. I got qualified and certified. I went through all their training. It took about a year. A lot of people tell me I read a lot of books. I started hoarding things. I'm kind of a little bit of a hoarder. I learned that at Providence House. Whenever you have limited resources, Simone Hennessy, would make you ask for toilet paper. By God, you hide toilet paper. So I learned well. So I thought I knew what I was going to get in for. I know what this is like. No, I don't. So there was, when I got the call, it was from Shongaloo. I don't know if anybody knows where that is. Sorry. But anyway, no, it's lovely. But in Webster. But these kids came out of the worst type of hell imaginable. And abuse. Every kind of abuse imaginable at 1 and 2 years old. So when people talk about the state and this, that, and the other and calling Child Protective Services, these are the stories that you hear on KTVS, on Channel 12, on KMSS. Only those stories really make it to a foster parent's home. So not that, oh, that's dirty. No, everything was dirty. Everything, you know, just the worst imaginable. And abuse. So this 1 and 2 year old, when they gave me a call, and 45 minutes later, Fun Shungaloo showed up at my door, had been beaten, burned, bruised. They were 1/3 of the size of normal, I don't know what normal is, but children their age. So an example, he's 18 months old, he's 11 pounds, wearing 3-month-old clothes. She's almost 3, and 18-month-old clothes, weighing 17 pounds. So just to qualify for that, they had, you know, they were bloody, they were sold, they were screaming, and they're wild children now, but not like that. But anyway, all of those things. And the bag that the worker had, mind you, the worker had to get home to her own family. It was almost 5 o'clock. She had things, but they'd just been rescued from the situation. In the bag that they had attached, in a Winn-Dixie bag, I realized later, had a meth pipe in it. A meth pipe attached to a 1 and 2 year old into my home. Nothing prepared me for that. Nothing prepared me for the screaming, the yelling, all of those things, so those basic needs. So, you know, I'm fiery. I'm a little bit the spitfire. I got mad. I got really mad. And I was like, no child will ever have to go through this again if I have anything to do with it. And people ask me, like, how can I help you? How can I help you? Well, in that moment, all I could do was focus on these 2 small children that needed me to be calm and kind and loving and feed them and give them a bath and tell them it's all going to be okay. But all I kept thinking in the back of my mind is there's a meth pipe in my house. What kind of exposure is this? How does this work? What do I put on this boy that's 3-month-old clothes? That's how Geaux Bags started. But instead, I had to take them to the emergency room, had to take them to get everything checked out, gingerbread house. That's why we all partner and collaborate together. Because every child that you want to support with CASA, the children that you want to support with gingerbread house, the children that you want to support, all have this moment, all have this night, whenever as dramatic, as traumatic, and as upsetting as it is, that's all they know. And all they have is the clothes off their back. And I need to really say that all they have is the clothes off their back. And in my middle class way, I don't want anything from that home in my home also. But that's all they have. And that's why Geaux Bags was started. Because the more that I found out about what it's like for the children, the more that I could then tell people that were my friends that were in charge of a junior league or community groups or civic groups or Rotary, what we needed. I need to be able to articulate what we need. And what we need is a pack of underwear. I used to say a pair of underwear, but Sheriff Prater told me I was too cheap. Because, you know, he doesn't mince words, and he said this in front of John Bell Edwards. This is one reason why we got along. Because he was like, you going to take that, Kilpatrick? And I'm like, I think I have to. Prater's talking. But he told me, he's like, you're being too cheap. Nobody needs to be touching anyone's underwear, Casey. You need a pack of underwear. You need to suck it up and say, I need a pack of underwear, new pajamas, toiletries, and comfort item. If you're not going to do it, who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? Then I asked him for some money. That became our friendship. So, with that said, I started this nonprofit out of the back of my car in 2013 when I got my babies. And Willis Knight and Kelly Elrod helped me for about 6 months with a little space while I did that from my car. Then I was in a condemned building at Common Ground because they offered me that space, which didn't have heat or air. So it was a good time volunteering. Now we're at Northwest Family Justice Center because of law enforcement and Jerry Bowen for that, because they see that need. Now, with that said, it started in 2013. The first people that ever gave me money was Broadmoor Presbyterian Church. I have some members here. Diane Mapp is one of my mom's best friends. She thought that G-A-U-X, my daddy's from Homa, that's why I spelled that way. She thought I was joking, so she did G-O on the bags, because she knows me well enough to know that. But anyway, the bag started, and this just started as a labor of love, and it grew bigger than me. And there are numerous people that help me. I want to give a shout out to Karen, who's helping me right now with all my strategies, trying to get this together the way that I need to, because it's all volunteer led. We've logged over 5,000 hours as volunteers for myself, and about that for the board and other community groups. With since 2013, she helped me with my numbers too. We've raised about $30,000. That $30,000 has turned into 4,000 bags. Thank you. As an accountant's daughter, I gotta keep doing my ROI. 4,000 bags, which $50 a bag in in-kind resources is about $200,000. All these bags are made directly through us from volunteers and given directly to Department of Children and Family Services, because they're the ones who need it. When you get that call, how the children come through is basically from first responders, law enforcement, that then say, oh my God, we have children here, how do we take care of these children? They call DCFS, then they have one person call for a foster parent or kinship or find their people, and the other one grabs the bag. Green for girl, right down there, blue for boy, and the tag has the size. It's all based around what the children need. I am going to be working with Martha, and I'm going to say that out loud, name it and claim it, with food bank to then have food in there, because usually these children have not eaten for days. And a lot of them have food insecurity, and she's trying to help me to start asking to do that more in bulk. That's how I can stretch my dollars. But all of that $200,000 in kind and direct input goes directly to the most needy, at-risk children. These are children without family. They're not part of this family, and they're not part of that family. Is that accurate, Rob? Right, okay. They're just state property. That's really hard to swallow, something I don't like to think about how my babies went through that, but that's true. And well-meaning people and some people that are just burnt out take care of them with foster parents willing to step in the gap. That's how it started, and that's what we've done. Luckily, because of Rotary now with South and this Rotary, y'all are our largest donor. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for me? I know that I'm forgetting something. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm trying to calm down. Thank you, Kathy.
So how many kids are in the foster care system in Louisiana?
Thank you. She's heard my speech before. There are over 5,000 children in Louisiana that come into foster care every year. Over 5,000. So in our area, it's safe to say about 2,000. With that said, to even remotely get the size of pajamas we need to have about 3 to 4 bags per that. So we need about 20,000 bags to help our area, and that's Northwest Louisiana, and that's what I'm focusing on. Now, because of this, and me willing to stand in the gap and have enough moxie to say this, now the governor, Ms. Edwards, Mike Johnson, Congressman, they want me to replicate this statewide and ultimately national. Tim Tebow's foundation is very interested in helping me take this national, but I need to do it well here. I need a model here. I need to get it together here. I need to turn in my receipts to Karen here. So that's why we have this type of support, and from Rotary is so instrumental. I've gotten to where I don't pray for money, even though we always need money. I pray for resources. Because resources, as you know, as being a Southerner, are things that money can't buy. You can't buy relationships, you can't buy connections, you can't buy people caring without those resources. So if there's a way that you think you could help this cause or help these children that don't have any children, all the children that you see, please talk to us after, anytime, day or night. We're available. You know, one thing too is to give you some happy notes about the children that I adopted. It's Hallie, Stella, and Jaden Rowland. And after about 4 years in the system and spending about $18,000 of my own money out of my retirement, I was able to adopt them. I had to fight. I had to fight for them. The system is very broken. It's very flawed. There is a lot of issues and challenging in every way. But these kids are worth it. You know, these kids grow up. These kids become your friends and neighbors. And because of the work that I do, I can tell you that there are people that I worked with at KTBS that are on air that were in foster care. The people that were an orphan, that you know and love. That there's somebody's husband or teacher that have been through the exact same thing these children have been through. This is not something people want to talk about, but because of the role that I'm in, they've talked to me about. It has changed my whole perception of how I need to. Not only is this bag in a practical way, in a very Kilpatrick way of, you know, get them the underwear, get them the socks, get them the Geaux Bag, but it's about awareness. Awareness of what's wrong and what needs to be fixed, and awareness that these kids should not be invisible. Here I thought I knew all this stuff, I read all these books, I was in these programs, and this is still the reality of the situation. They need help, and they need people to stand up and help them. So in any way that y'all are able to do that, we appreciate collaborating with all the other nonprofits that help do that. We do not compete. There are other bag programs in the country. There's Sweet Cases, and also Together We Rise. They do that, but that's all for chronic foster care. There's nothing for that immediate 24-hour need. And Rob and I can testify, when they come into your home, that's your most needy time of ever. That's the most stressful time. And when they're riding in the back of a cop car, you know, or when they're in the social worker's office for 2 days because nobody will take them, that's the time they need this the most. And this is why I'm getting the support that I'm getting. And this is why. It's not about shopping. It's about that these kids deserve a fresh change of clothes, and they deserve new items to play with. Sometimes this is the only items they've ever had that were new and not soiled or meth or attached to some level of abuse. I will tell you this, their biological people do not want to be those people, but they are. Their choices are. So what I've been told before is if they had it together, they would be in my care. That they did the best they could with what they had, and that they are ill-equipped and unable to raise these children. And that is why I fought and was able to get these children and get these children adopted and be legally mine. But yeah, no one chooses this. And the big thing too that I always find is 1/3 of the kids are 0 to 5, 1/3 is 5 to 13 that come into the care, 1/3 is 13 to 18. It's demographically the same as our area, 50-50, African American. The only thing, quote unquote, different a little bit is that I prefer sulfate-free shampoo because it's good for everybody's hair. That's why. So there's no issue with that. So those are all the things, those are the children that we serve and how we serve, and that, you know, they're at every high school in this town, every elementary school, they're everywhere, and that they grow up. Rob?
I think adding food is a great idea. Can you tell everyone if you ever had a child that has food issues and hoarding the food?
Rob, I'd like for you to come up with me because I'm a little nervous, and I know you know this, and you can say this. I don't want to say your business. I want you to say your business.
Oh, calling me out.
Go ahead.
So they can hear me.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 4 years. We've had 18 children through our house in 4 years. One for 3.5 years that just recently went back to his mom. We have 2 now, a 14-year-old and a 7-year-old. food issues is a big thing. They come to our house and they're not used to having anything in their fridge. So I've had kids take just ham and everything, put it in a little bag and put it under their bed, and then either eat it all at once, or some of the kids would save it for a while. So adding food, non-perishable food like granola bars and different protein healthy snacks, I think would be a fantastic idea. So that's all I have to say.
Well, no, do tell them that. So one thing too, people say, well, how do you know it gets to the parents for the children? Can you testify that you...
Repeat that again?
Have you ever received a Go Bag when you got kids from DCFS, and have they ever left with one?
Yeah, so we get kids at all times of the night. We got our first one, I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So he was being discharged after 8-month-old being beaten severely, and so we got him 2 o'clock in the morning, giving this little guy a bath, and at that time we didn't have the Go Bags, but we've had probably 3 or 4 children come with either no shoes or like in their usually they're in their PJs. When we get them, it's in a bad time in the middle of the night. So they've come with Go Bags where we can just zip it open. We don't have all the sizes. We just recently stopped taking little kids, and I donated like 3 truckloads full of baby clothes just from people helping us, donating Go Bags, that kind of stuff. So when we're in our training, they talk about the Go Bags with all the foster parents, so it's fantastic. But it's very important to talk to kids about having that bag. We've actually used this bag before with one of our worst cases. We took the bag and I said, all right, we went to Sam's, and I said, all right, here's 36 granola bars and some other things that we packed in here. This is your food. No one else is going to take this food. You can eat it whenever you want, but please don't eat it all at once. You're safe. We're always going to have food for you. And it took a while to get him to realize that, okay, I'm going to have food at all this time. But having that bag with him at all the time, and he took it to school with him, which I said is fine. So it's important to teach them.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
You mentioned the 5,000 kids.
Yes.
About how many families are available?
There's about 1,000 families, 600 families. That's what I don't have my notes. Thank you, Kathy, for being an engineer and remembering stuff. Yeah, about 600 families that can take that. So that just imagine when you have an influx. I had this dream of like, I will have this beautiful wreath at my door with a stork. If I have children now, I'm together, I'm ready. No. Let alone 2, let alone what that situation was, and the reality of that. So these people that stand in the gap for these children are amazing. I don't think I can ever do that again. I can do this. And the reality is not everybody needs to do that. Not everybody's equipped to do that. Not everybody has a house for that, patience for that, a drive for that, but we can get it ready for them. It takes a little bit more on the front end, but that's why.
Do you take gently used clothes or only brand new stuff?
These children deserve a fresh start, and it's only new. There's plenty of times for gently used, but in that one moment, in that one bag, we really want to keep that very clean and sanitary, in the health department. So I struggle with that, but it's what works. Yes, sir.
My wife is in CASA.
Right.
So I hear a lot of this, and I guess my question is, what percentage of the children go with the family member as opposed to a partner?
With kinship care, I think it's more like 40% maybe. Initially, sometimes, I'll be honest with you, most of the times, like with the children that I got to adopt, there really wasn't anybody equipped in their family. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone into foster care.
It's the preferred method.
It is the preferred method.
If there's a family member that's willing to take these children, then they try to do that. But a lot of times, they don't qualify or they don't take.
Right, grandparents are big. It is, and it's not the kid's fault. That's what I try to really iterate. It is not the kid's fault. I have an event every year. It's called May the 4th Be With You. May the Force, and it's basically based off of Star Wars, because I like Star Wars. But Luke and Layla Skywalker could not predict their dad was going to turn out to be Darth Vader. You know, everyone has an origin story. Everyone has stuff. And they either can choose the light or the dark. And in that moment when I was mad about the meth pipe, I could just complain or complain in a proactive way and do something about it. In the same way that with CASA, and that CASA serves the kids that get Geaux Bags. You know, to get to that level, they've already have been through the initial shock and trauma, and your wife could probably testify still how traumatized these children are. And that's why we focus on that. Law enforcement and nurses and doctors, anybody who sees first responders, I should say, are the ones who instantly buy into this and understand it because they see it. And they also have had to put children in the back of their squad cars that are in the situation, and they had nothing to comfort them. And that's how that's taken off. But I'm having a hard time trying to translate this to people that it's so far removed that it's inconceivable. And I think I need to go. Thank you very much.
This is do you know what that is?
No.
That is a power bank. So you can plug
I can charge things?
You can charge all this. If you charge this
Nice.
thing up, and when they start dying on you, you plug them in here, you charge it up. But you do have to charge that up occasionally too.
Good, I need this. Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank
very
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you be available for questions if anybody
Yes,
has a few more
yes.
questions afterwards?
Yes, you want me to tell me what to do, Terry?
Hang where you are,
Okay.
they'll find you.
Okay.
Thank you. We also are making an honorarium in your name to Northwest Louisiana Interfaith Pharmacy. They provide free life-sustaining medications to individuals who lack the resources to pay for them. Rob, I want to thank you too for your contribution. That was really great. Thank you. I love learning all these things about our members that we just know nothing about. It's amazing. Kathy French is going to handle our drawings for us. Make sure the microphone is on. Got it. Thank you.
All right. First one for the money is last three numbers 851 or 4851.
How much money?
How much is it? Oh. It is $91 collected, $46 for the foundation, and $45 for the winner. Everybody has? Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations and thank you.
All right, next is for the flowers, 4781. Anybody, 4781?
Oh, they're pretty.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
What?
Eggs, do we have eggs
We have
back there?
eggs?
We do.
Okay, so we have the eggs. And 4895.
And that's it. Thank you, Kathy. I want to thank three people for manning our welcome table out there. Mario Chavez, Greg Lott, and James Adams. We appreciate y'all for doing that. Thank you for coming. We hope you come back again next week. We hope you've enjoyed the information today and getting together and learning something new about each other. And Mario Chavez will now do our four-way test. Where did he go? There you are.
The four-way test. Of these things we think, say, or do,
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will be beneficial to all concerned? Oh! Rotary's adjourned.